Hello everyone, my name is Bree and welcome to Document a Journey. Today I am going to be working in my sketchbook. This is a tiny little guy. It is a Royal Talens and I think it's like 3.5 by 5, but it's really small, big as my hand. This sketchbook doesn't take watercolor extremely well, but it does an okay job, and I am actually going to be painting these flowers right here. I was gifted them by my friend, and I have been actively working in my sketchbook. I have started a Discord, and in the Discord I have been sharing more pages of this little guy. I actually have been doing some portraits in the morning. I was inspired by a video that I'll link down below, and they did a portrait a day. I haven't done that exactly, but I have been trying to do them. I think I've done 4. Here's one, so you can kind of check it out. But I do share more of my pages, just photos of my pages on Discord, and not necessarily something that I will share on here until we do a flip through. So if you are doing this challenge with us, Kat Riles and I, this is our challenge, the sketchbook challenge. If you're doing this challenge with us, then I highly recommend popping into the Discord. I'll link everything down below so that you can just click and go and meet new people over there, talk about your sketchbooks, share your work, and it's really fun. It is a small community right now, but we hope to build it up and it becomes something really valuable. Already it's valuable. When you have people there and it's a community, it's super fun. But the more the merrier, so if that's something that interests you, you should totally check it out. And without further ado, we will hop into this little sketchbook. These Royal Talens sketchbooks are thick. There's lots of pages, so I don't foresee myself getting through it anytime soon, but that's the whole point of these sketchbooks, is to play. I do have 1, 2, I'm looking over at my shelf, 1, 2, 3, 4 in action right now. And I'm hoping to at least just finish 1 by the end of the year. That's my goal. If I get more, that's great, but I have 2 Royal Talens sketchbooks going, and those are hefty, thick pages, so it's not about finishing, it's about just getting in there every day and, practicing. So, yeah, if you're ready to do some sketchbooking with me, grab your supplies and let's get going. I am going to pop in and out of this video as I normally do, but as I get situated here, I wanted to kind of go over a few things. One, I am going to provide photos of the flowers on my Discord, so if you are interested, you can check out the photo reference over there. I know I've already kind of mentioned it. It's already in the description box, blah, blah, blah. You get it. You know. So just scroll down and click the link. So photo reference will be over on Discord. And then I also wanted to talk to you about supplies. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm not trying to influence you to buy what I have. I would much rather influence you to use what you have. However, I don't know what you have. So I am just going to go over what I have, and I feel like it will be a good reminder of just getting out what you have and use it. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've said you have, I have a lot. Anyway, this pencil that I'm using, I always start with a pencil. I love pencil sketches. Pencil shading is probably like where I started, what I love doing the most. I love pencil sketches, and that is why I really love ballpoint pen too, because I feel like it's just a darker version of my pencil. But anyway, this pencil is actually a lead holder. It was given to me by my father. He used it for drafting when he was working and he actually worked for my grandfather, who was an architect, and then he actually went to work for a college eventually, but it was my dad's. I use an H lead. The only reason I have that in there is because I have a plethora of it for some reason. I got a lot of stuff from my dad and my grandfather, and a lot of that was H lead for some reason, so I use it. And it's really light, hard lead, so it's really hard to pick up on camera, so I kind of sped through that process. Then the next thing I am picking up, which I don't normally do, I normally actually do ballpoint pen next, but lately I have been just trying to play and do different things. So today I opted for watercolor. Watercolor is my jam. I love it. It does not go well on this paper. You have to have more color than water. Otherwise, it's like the water just makes it seep into the page. So you'll see that some of the pigments that I pick up are way more pigmented for my first layer, which that's another thing too. For my first layer of watercolor normally. However, I don't layer in this book because it just can't handle it. So I'm starting off with watercolor. The watercolor that I have is Daniel Smith, and some of it, like that 3 palette, the wood palette up top that has 3 colors in it, that is actually by Letter Sparrow, and those are my 2 favorites. Now I do have randoms, like I love the Schminke Yellow Ochre. I have random favorites in different lines, but for the most part, I'm really comfortable with my Daniel Smith and my Letter Sparrow paints. Daniel Smith is a well-known art brand, and then Letter Sparrow is actually handmade watercolors, and I can link, Kelly is her name, I can link her in the description box for you. I love their paints. These wood palettes that I'm using are actually by Kat Riles. I love her, if you don't know that. And I will also have her linked in the description box. She's already there because we do this art challenge, this art sketchbook challenge together. But I love the wood palettes, and I love the paints in them because I feel like they don't hurt my brushes. I don't buy expensive brushes, but I like the brushes that I have, and so I like to keep them around for a while. The brushes that I have are these like more natural wooded brushes. So the one I'm using right now, that is by Dynamic Distraction. To be honest, they're hit and miss when I can find them on Amazon. They are just a cheap brush set. It came with like 10 different sizes, and I like them. They kind of act like a Kolinsky. If you are a watercolor enthusiast, you'll know that there is like a sable and a Kolinsky. The Kolinsky is a stiffer bristled, it snaps back. You can really get in for fine details with them. Scrub at the page when you want to blend something out. Don't scrub at these royal Talens. It doesn't work, it will pill. But if you're on a watercolor paper, if you scrub at the page, then it will blend it out for you. That's a Kolinsky. This, what I have, the Dynamic Distraction, they're cheap. They're not Kolinsky, it's a synthetic, but that's what it acts like. The next brush that I'm using, which I have, it's like that reddish wooded barrel, is a Princeton Neptune. Again, I'm pretty sure that's synthetic too, but it acts more like a squirrel, which can come to a fine point, but they are very, very soft, and you can't really scrub at the page with them. They are really good for like getting some nice washes on the page and things like that. I struggle with using them in this sketchbook in particular. Mainly the only thing I use them for is backgrounds, because they are initially that like first wash that you want to do on a page, and it kind of like really allows the watercolor to do whatever at once, and that's the beauty of watercolor. But again, this is practice, and the sketchbook doesn't really call for something like that. So those are my brushes, and then after I did obviously my paint, I'm moving on to ballpoint pen. This ballpoint pen is fancy, okay? So don't go buying one of these if you have no idea if you like ballpoint pen. I got to this after like years and years of ballpoint pen use. I would buy a Bic ballpoint pen and I would just try it out. My favorite are those like crystal ones that are like see-through. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about in grade school. I really love those. I also really like having the fact that they have different colors. You can really play with different colors. I I have kind of like gone past that and really just like the black ballpoint. I use a Ballograph ballpoint. You can find them on jet pens. I like that refill because it is a drier ink. If you don't know anything about ballpoint pen, it is an oil-based ink, and when you put it down on the paper and you try and put watercolor on top of it, it does resist the watercolor because it is a oil-based ink. You can get them in a more wet or a more dry, and I would say that the Bic ballpoints are more wet, so if you're working on like a fibrous paper, it's going to collect a lot of the fibers and it kind of like will goop up. I don't know how else to explain it, but there's these little, like, you know, it collects all the fibers, and there's either it'll glob the gloop on your page and it'll get real dark in one spot, or you can wipe it off on a napkin. You might see me wipe this one off every now and again. Ultimately, it's habit because I'm just so used to using ballpoint pen on more fibrous papers. This paper in general takes ballpoint pen like a dream. It's smooth. I can really get some good shading on it. The ballpoint stays black instead of like on watercolor, a ballpoint can turn gray. But I really enjoy ballpoint because I don't think it distracts from the image too much, but yet it still adds depth, value, and outline. So anyway, those are like my go-to supplies. That is the 4 things that I really love using: watercolor, the watercolor brushes, the pencil, and then the ballpoint. And then I just kind of go. And I'm going to leave you here for a little bit, and I'll pop in a bit later. One thing that I have learned with this paper is that you have to let every layer dry in between. I don't normally do more than 2, maybe 3 layers. At that point, your paper will start pilling and you'll kind of like bleed into the page before it or the page after it. So I would just, if you have a Royal Talens sketchbook, one of the tricks that I always tell people is you can always mix a little bit of gouache into your watercolors, and that does the trick. It makes the paint sit on top of the page way better than just adding water to the watercolor, and that seeps into the page. So anyway, I am finishing up this little sketchbook session. It took me about 40 minutes, both pages, to complete. I sped some parts up for you so you didn't have to watch the whole thing. But I would love to hear in the comments if you went ahead and did anything in your sketchbook, or maybe if you go and sketch the photos that I've given you in the Discord. Maybe you can post some photos of your sketches in your sketchbook. That would be awesome to see. I am just really excited to kind of be back, filling up my sketchbook and practicing and playing. That's what a sketchbook is all about. It's about playing. I can remember when I was a kid, I would just sit there and it didn't matter what they looked like. It was just me doing it, and I absolutely loved that. And so I am trying to bring that back, and this is the perfect time to do it. So if you haven't started your sketchbook challenge, not to worry. You can join at any time. You are not behind. There are no prompts or anything like that. We kind of just do it as we go, right? Like, if you have anything that you've been doing that you've been really inspired by, I'd love to hear that in the comments. And yeah, I think this is where I'm going to leave you. So I hope you guys had a wonderful time. I hope you got into your sketchbook and you had fun. And until next time, everybody, I'll see ya.